Chapter 1201, Yi Lui Kun Xing. Chapter 1201, Yi Lui Kun Xing. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Sun was shining bright in the sky of northern plains, with no clouds to be seen in the surroundings. However, at Blood Plain, starlight shone brilliantly, as if stars filled the sky. Golden Dawn Hall was quietly floating in the air. It stood majestically. No matter how much turbulence was going on outside, it remained lofty and unmoved. In contrast, the Gu immortals on Chu Du's side were all standing on clouds, their expressions looking unsightly or filled with worries. Chu Du was expressionless, but his gaze that looked at the battle was extremely heavy. Immortal Wang is going to lose. Chu Du sighed internally. In the center of the battlefield, Immortal Wang was fighting with the righteous path Gu immortal Yi Lui Kun Xing. Immortal Wang had already transformed into a heaven-swallowing hound, charging left and right with astonishing might. The heaven-swallowing hound was an immemorial desolate beast, but Immortal Wang was only a rank 7 Gu immortal. This transformation path immortal killer move also did not have a relevant rank 8 immortal Gu in it. So, this heaven-swallowing hound's battle strength was only at rank 7 level. And Immortal Wang's opponent, Yi Lui Kun Xing, was tall and thin like a bamboo pole. He had 3 strands of hair as a beard and had a yellowish-white complexion. Right now, he was far away from the heaven-swallowing hound. Hundreds of star fragments were flying around him, shining with brilliant light, dyeing the sky a color of blue. Immortal Wang's heaven-swallowing hound transformation used all its strength to attack. However, countless star fragments, big and small, tightly surrounded him. Of these star fragments, small ones were the size of a lantern, while the big ones were the size of an elephant. They kept on flying around. A small portion were encircling Immortal Wang with dizzying speed, while the larger portion were encircling Yi Lui Kun Xing, moving slowly in a mysterious trajectory. Plop! A muffled sound echoed. A star fragment firmly collided against Immortal Wang's body. The heaven-swallowing hound's movement slowed, and exposed a flaw when it tried to dodge. Boom boom boom. 3 muffled sounds resounded as this opportunity was taken. Star fragments collided against Immortal Wang fiercely. The heaven-swallowing hound let out a low growl, coughing out a large amount of blood. Its feet staggered and almost fell down to the ground. Any Gu immortal with eyes could see who was in control of the situation. Immortal Wang was the one attacking, but was in an absolute disadvantage from start to finish. And the defending Yi Lui Kun Xing was the one who held the upper hand, putting himself behind layers of defense. This battle tactic was naturally a correct one. One often had to choose long-range battle when dealing with transformation path Gu immortals. Because the Gu immortal that transformed into Desolate Beast, Ancient Desolate Beast or even Immemorial Desolate Beast, would have a strong and sturdy body. Just relying on their transformed body's quality, their battle strength would increase to a terrifying level. Gu immortals of other paths mostly had human bodies. Their physical qualities were weak. Even if they had powerful defensive methods, they did not want to put themselves in such a dangerous situation where they were fighting with their weakness against a transformation path Gu immortal strength. The dominance was already clear. Yi Lui Kun Xing was in an impregnable position. He spoke in a clear voice. It is useless, Immortal Wang. My immortal killer move was created by taking Dong Fong Chang Fan's myriad star fireflies as a reference. The flying trajectory is extremely profound and inscrutable. Previously, 6 star fragments could completely obstruct you. Now, there are at least 36 star fragments around you. How will you break through? This Yi Lui Kun Xing was also a person with an interesting past. He had challenged Dong Fong Chang Fan, and had suffered defeat after defeat, but had still persisted in challenging him. Dong Fong Chang Fan was a righteous path figure, the #1 wisdom path Gu immortal of Northern Plains who had single-handedly led Dong Fong tribe to prominence. Yi Lui Kun Xing's defeats did not make Northern Plains Gu immortals feel he was weak. Instead, they very much appreciated him fighting back despite the repeated setbacks, and his steady, unwavering spirit. As one of the leading figures of the righteous path, Dong Fong Chang Fan could not lay a heavy hand on Yi Lui Kun Xing, who was similarly of Huang Jin bloodline. There was even one time when after he defeated Yi Lui Kun Xing, he personally instructed him regarding some secrets of myriad star fireflies. Yi Lui Kun Xing treated the guidance as a precious treasure, immediately going into closed cultivation. Unknown to him, this was precisely Dong Fang Changfan's scheme. Dong Fang Changfan had not only gotten rid of the annoying Yi Lui Kun Xing, this also expressed his goodwill to Yi Lui tribe, and had smoothly accomplished an instance of collaboration with Yi Lui tribe, gaining large amounts of benefits. Yi Lui Kun Xing had originally felt that Dong Fang Changfan was a thorn in his eyes, but having obtained benefits from Dong Fang Changfan, he did not feel he could shamelessly challenge Dong Fang Changfan again. After coming out of his closed cultivation, he chose to focus hard on his own development and did not even find trouble with other Gu immortals of Dong Fang tribe. As such, this trump card killer move of his clearly bore resemblance to myriad star fireflies. Myriad star fireflies was Dong Fang Changfan's killer move, which was famous throughout the whole of Northern Plains Gu immortal world. Yi Lui Kun Xing's move, however, treated the star fragments as the main body. It could be considered as him creating his own unique method. A real star was extremely huge. Fang Yuan had been using Star Eye's immortal Gu up until now, and had only managed to refine one star. Immortal Wang's heaven-swallowing hound transformation kept on coughing up blood, and was struck by more and more star fragments. He could not even retort, he was dizzy and was heavily injured. Moreover, his immortal essence expenditure had reached an enormous amount. The immortals on Chu Du's side showed even more unsightly looks. If Immortal Wang is defeated, he would be the fourth person Yi Lui Kun Xing has defeated from our side. His immortal killer move is truly too powerful. When it was just 2 or 3 star fragments, they can still be resisted. When 15 star fragments appear and they work together as one, the difficulty to resist them increases by countless times. Right now, he already has 100 star fragments, achieving complete dominance. This simply cannot be resisted. Inside Golden Dawn Hall, the Righteous Path Immortals had smiles on their faces. Yi Lui Xiaojin was watching the battle with excitement. Yi Lui Kun Xing was his senior. Seeing this senior about to defeat his fourth opponent, Yi Lui Xiaojin also felt excitement and pride. On the other side, Nian Er Ping Ji was still regulating his breathing. One thing worth mentioning was that Nian Er tribe's position had already moved to the center. This was because of Nian Er Ping Ji's battle where he had killed the rank 7 demonic path expert Granny Yin. Many rank 6 geniuses and experts had the battle strength to go against rank 7. But being able to kill rank 7 was a different level altogether. Adding Nian Er Ping Ji's young age to this battle achievement, this undoubtedly became even more rare. By this time, the allied Righteous Path forces, and the alliance of Chu's sect and Baizu, had already gone through over 10 battles. At the start, Chu Du had the discerning eye to send out the promising young Shui Wu Hen, who won 3 battles in a row, awing others. Then, from the Righteous Path side, Gong Wan Ting sent Nian Er Ping Ji. Similarly, a rising young genius, Nian Er Ping Ji's battle result was even more brilliant, using the immortal killer move Sword Heart Clarity in killing the renowned demonic path expert Granny Yin. Afterwards, Gong Wan Ting negotiated with Chu Du, and the two sides temporarily stopped the battle, setting rules regarding exchange of corpses. Then the battle began again. Yuan tribe of the Righteous Path, Meng tribe, and other tribes Gu immortals appeared one after the other, while Chu Du sent out Hao Zhen, Chou Lao Wu as well as some Gu immortals of Baizu tribe to contest with them. Perhaps it was because they were senior Gu immortals, each side had their own victories and defeats, and suffered varying degrees of injuries, but there were no deaths. Seeing the situation seemingly entering a stalemate, Gong Wan Ting pondered for a while before sending Yi Lui Kun Xing. This person was a true main strength among Yi Lui tribe's force. He was an expert among rank 7 Gu immortals. Although he had many losses among his battle achievements, they were against Dong Fang Changfan. Naturally, no one would look down on him. What made people especially admire him were his character and spirit. He had suffered many defeats from Dong Fang Changfan, but he always came back stronger. Worth mentioning was that Yi Lui Huihong had the highest seniority, but his battle strength could not compare to Yi Lui Kun Xing. The righteous path paid attention to seniority, unlike the demonic path which only looked at strength. Finally, Chu Du spoke, "All right, this battle is our loss." Immortal Wang retreated with a shameful expression. Yi Lui Kun Xing also did not forcibly go after his life. After all, Immortal Wang still had the ability to protect himself, and it would give enough time for Chu Du to come help. Immortal Wang was pale, his mood extremely complicated. He was the fourth opponent of Yi Lui Kun Xing and had originally thought of having gotten an easy opportunity, but the result was that Yi Lui Kun Xing's battle strength had not fallen even after 3 battles. Immortal Wang returned to his human form and walked towards Chu Du, saying in a heavy voice, that Yi Lui Kun Xing's immortal killer move is extremely ingenious. His immortal essence expenditure is definitely small, and the star fragments have mutual attraction force between them, creating a good deal of starlight magnetic force. I am afraid it would not be easy to discern the mysteries of this killer move unless one is a star path Gu immortal. The opponent would be implicated by these star fragments. These star fragments are very fast, and sometimes they would suddenly form a formless force which skewed my direction, making me lose control over myself many times. Now that I think of it, Yi Lui Kun Xing was weakest in the first battle. Now, he has already released 100 star fragments, forming an array for battle. The ones who will go later will lose many advantages, and would find it very difficult to go against this array. Immortal Wang's tone was sincere. These were his sincere words. They were also reasons given to excuse himself and not be held at fault. Chu Du nodded and patted Immortal Wang's shoulder. "No need to say much, it is good that you returned safely." It was a simple action, but this action almost made Immortal Wang's eyes tear up. "Who wants to come fight next?" At this time, Yi Lui Kun Xing called out. It seems this person still does not want to retreat and wants to fight his 5th battle. Chu Du's expression slightly changed, killing intent flashing in his eyes. The immortals behind him started whispering. "He has already defeated 4 people in a row, he still seems to have strength remaining." Immortal Wang's strength is outstanding. He transformed into a heaven-swallowing hound but was still unable to win. Sigh. Baizu tribe's Gu immortals were silent. Baizu Wei was already dead. What they were good at was not individual battle strength, but Green City Rampage. Hao Zhen and Chou Lao Wu's Wind Thunder Roar was renowned throughout Northern Plains. It could be considered a trump card that could pressure the opponents and make them feel apprehensive. It was only that they had already battled separately and still bore some injuries. When Gu immortals were injured, because of the conflict of Dao marks, they were very difficult to heal. For a moment, Chu Du actually found that he had fallen into an awkward situation of having no experts to send. Comparatively, in the righteous path, experts filled Golden Dawn Hall, while Chu Du's side was only an alliance of the newly established Baizu tribe and his sect. They indeed had few members and were seriously stretched out. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1202, Arrogance Concealed Under Beauty. Chapter 1202, Arrogance Concealed Under Beauty. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Do I have to go myself? Facing the awkward situation of having no experts to send, Chu Du unavoidably had such a thought. He could naturally take the stage and also had the confidence to win against Yi Lui Kun Xing. But what would it look like when Chu Du, as the strongest expert on his side, took the stage? Would it not make their side look weaker? Moreover, even after he wins against Yi Lui Kun Xing, the other side would definitely continue to send other Gu immortals. Gong Wan Ting, Yao tribes Yao Yuaning, Guan tribes Guan Yang, New Air tribes New Air Gu and New Air Qian, all of these people were experts who Chu Du needed to pay attention to. 2 fists cannot rival 4 palms. Chu Du could win 1 battle, 2 battles, 3 battles, but could he guarantee he would win all the battles? Chu Du fell into silence. What? No one wants to fight. We have just reached this stage and there is already nobody left. Yi Lui Kun Xing did not let go of this chance to mock them. Xue Wuhen could not endure this provocation. He was a very prideful person. He requested to be sent by Chu Du. Let me go deal with this Yi Lui Kunxing. However, Xue Wuhen was only at rank 6, how could Chu Du let him go? Xue Wuhen might be able to battle rank 7, but the other party was an expert among rank 7s. Chu Du slowly shook his head. Right at this moment, his eyes suddenly brightened, because an information path Gu worm flew to his immortal aperture through treasure yellow heaven. Wonderful! Elder Lu Guanyi's timing is perfect. Chu Du sent his consciousness into the Gu worm, and after absorbing the information, his brows immediately relaxed. He had confidence in Lu Guanyi. He had always thought Fang Yuan's strength was only second to his in Chu sect. Especially when they made the trip to Crazed Demon Cave, Fang Yuan's performance had left a deep impression on Chu Du. Be patient. My Chu sect's second Supreme Elder is about to arrive. Yi Lui Kunxing, why are you in such a rush? Enjoy your moment of victory for a while longer. Chu Du chuckled as he said in a plain tone. Chu sect's second Supreme Elder. Chu Du is the first Supreme Elder, doesn't it mean this second Supreme Elder is only second to him? This person is very mysterious, no one knows where he comes from, and we have very limited information on him. Both sides Gu Immortals discussed. The Righteous Path Gu Immortals in Golden Dawn Hall started discussing and exchanging information on Fang Yuan. Think about that Xue Wuhen, what is strange about them having Lu Guanyi? Nian Er Fang caressed his beard, speaking unconcernedly. So what if he is stronger? At most, he would have rank 7 peak battle strength. Our side is a gathering of experts and geniuses. Yi Lui Hui Hong laughed. Dong Wanting spoke softly, her voice lingering around the whole of Golden Dawn Hall. Chu Du is not blind, this person is placed above Hao Zhen and Chou Lao Wu. He is Chu sect's second Supreme Elder, we should assume that he possesses an outstanding aspect. Xue Wuhen's eyes brightened, having many expectations regarding Fang Yuan. Elder Hao Zhen, how is Elder Lu Guanyi's strength? One He tribe Gu Immortal asked. Naturally, this He tribe Gu Immortal had now already changed his surname to Baizu. He had not participated in the Battle of Iron Eagle Blessed Land, and it was not appropriate for him to ask Baizu tribe's Gu Immortals. Baizu Wei had died in the battle, and this had become almost like a taboo topic in Baizu tribe. Hao Zhen and Chou Lao Wu were respectively Chu sect's third and fourth Supreme Elder. Actually, they were uncomfortable at being underneath Fang Yuan, but right now, they could not damage their own sect's reputation. He claims to be a transformation path Gu Immortal. But we have never seen him use any transformation killer moves. Even in He Fan Grotto Heaven, when we resisted the attacks of Heavenly Lord, it was like that. The surrounding Gu Immortals could not help but draw in deep breaths. The words of Hao Zhen and Chou Lao Wu made people unavoidably think towards one aspect. It seems this Elder Lu Guanyi is quite amazing. Even the invasion of Heavenly Lord Baizu did not make him use all his strength. This was the person who first intruded Iron Eagle Blessed Land and seized almost all the eagle nests. A Gu Immortal of Baizu bloodline was feeling complicated at this moment. He has arrived. Chu Du suddenly spoke. The immortals behind him followed Chu Du's movement and turned around, looking behind them. Inside Golden Dawn Hall, the Righteous Path Immortals also cast their gazes over. A multicolored cloud was flying rapidly, upon which a young-looking Gu Immortal stood at the front with his head held high. He wore a white robe, the wide sleeves constantly fluttered backwards due to the wind. He had long black hair and a jade-like complexion, with sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, his nose bridge was tall, and his skin was white like snow. He had a light smile on his face, appearing relaxed and unfettered, and was extremely handsome, even a man would be moved by his appearance. Just one glance at Fang Yuan left a deep impression on these immortals. Elder Lu, you have finally come. Chu Du smiled brightly, flying over to welcome him. Domination Immortal Chu Du personally went to receive him. Seeing this scene, many Gu Immortals were shaken. Instantly, Fang Yuan's status had risen by multiple levels in their hearts. What are the origins of this Lu Guanyi? What has he done to deserve such treatment from Domination Immortal? The Righteous Path Gu immortals looked at each other, as they started to pay more importance to Fang Yuan's arrival. This information path Gu worm records the battle scenes from earlier, look at it quickly. Chu Du flew in front of Fang Yuan, and secretly handed an information path mortal Gu to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan silently accepted it. Chu Du treated him as an equal. After the crazed demon agreement, Chu Du's and Fang Yuan's relationship had become much closer. The group of immortals subconsciously went silent, patiently watching Fang Yuan slowly fly towards the battle. This person is Yi Lui Kun Xing. He primarily cultivates Star Path. He has already defeated 4 people on our side. We need you to show your might and defeat him. Chu Du spoke softly to Fang Yuan as he pointed at Yi Lui Kun Xing, who was standing proudly in the air. Fang Yuan inwardly thought, I came over because of this person. A Star Path blessed land is suitable for me to annex. Moreover, this guy has rank 7 cultivation. After I annex his immortal aperture, my cultivation will immediately soar and reach rank 7, I will start producing red date immortal essence. Yi Lui Kun Xing was tense. Ever since Fang Yuan had appeared, he had been paying close attention to him. Fang Yuan's gaze was tranquil, he could not read his expression at all. After some thinking, Yi Lui Kun Xing solemnly spoke, I am honored. The immortals quietly looked at Fang Yuan, awaiting him entering the battle. Fang Yuan, however, internally was shaking his head. He had already read all the information in the information path Gu worm Chu Du had given him, and knew all the moves Yi Lui Kun Xing had shown before. Fang Yuan had a clear estimation of Yi Lui Kun Xing's strength. He was probably at the level of experts like Unfettered Scholar and Pai Shui Han, or maybe slightly weaker. All in all, he was an expert among rank 7s. Above them would be people like Domination Immortal Chu Du and Immortal Monkey King Shirlei. And above Chu Du were Feng Jiu Gu and Qin Bai Sheng after regaining his memories. It was fully achievable for him to defeat Yi Lui Kun Xing with Ancient Sword Dragon transformation. But killing him would be difficult with a frontal assault. Especially under the view of the crowd and their watchful eyes, everyone was on guard against each other. Let alone when the opponent was Yi Lui Kun Xing. The most important thing regarding this person was this immortal killer move. Not only did it expend little immortal essence, it also had terrifying offensive and defensive properties. Even more praiseworthy was his mental state and nature. Losses could not defeat him and could only make him stronger. If this kind of person was the enemy, the best thing was to kill them. Even Dong Fang Chang Fan felt a headache because he could not kill him. But how to kill him? Fang Yuan estimated he did not have a high chance of killing Yi Lui Kun Xing. After transforming into an ancient sword dragon, Fang Yuan's battle strength would reach the level of Unfettered Scholar. However, Fang Yuan's ability to sustain a long battle was quite poor. After all, Green Grape Immortal Essence could not compare to Red Date Immortal Essence. 100 beads of Green Grape Immortal Essence could turn into 1 bead of Red Date Immortal Essence. But when using rank 7 Immortal Gu, the effect that could be reached with 1 bead of Red Date Immortal Essence required at least 130 beads of Green Grape Immortal Essence. This created a phenomenon of intensifying expenditure. Gu immortals using higher rank Immortal Gu were like children waving around a sledgehammer. It was very difficult. As he pondered this, Fang Yuan spoke, I won't fight. The immortals were stunned. Why won't you fight, are you afraid? Immortal Wang's sneering voice came from behind. Ever since the Iron Eagle Blessed Lands battle where Fang Yuan had treated him as a scapegoat, Immortal Wang had felt hatred towards Fang Yuan. The expectant gazes of immortals at Fang Yuan made Immortal Wang very dissatisfied. He, himself, was defeated by Yi Lui Kun Xing, and the person whom everyone's expectations were placed on was his enemy. Such a feeling left a really bad taste in his mouth. Fang Yuan did not respond. Chu Du, however, immediately frowned, as he turned back and gave a fierce glare at Immortal Wang. Immortal Wang quickly closed his mouth, beads of cold sweat starting to seep out of his forehead. Chu Du inwardly shook his head. Immortal Wang and these other Gu immortals were all lone immortals or demonic cultivators. They are accustomed to being unrestrained. After joining Chu's sect, their awareness has not increased much. Right now, even if he has some dissatisfaction with Lu Guanyi, how could he reveal the internal conflicts of Chu's sect in front of the public? At the same time, Chu Du looked at Fang Yuan. He did not speak but his gaze inquired, "Why won't you fight?" Fang Yuan gazed at Yi Lui Kun Xing, sneering, "He is too weak, I can kill him with just my spit. Do we kill chickens with an ox cleaver? Fighting him is an insult towards my status. Arrogant. Way too arrogant." For a moment, the stomachs of the immortals churned, as all kinds of thoughts surged in their minds. Fang Yuan looked like a quiet handsome boy, who could have thought his first few words would reveal the astonishing arrogance within him. He actually said he can win against an expert like Yi Lui Kun Xing with just his spit. Even domination immortal Chu Du might not be able to do it. Nian Er Ping Ji was displeased. He is tooting his own horn too much. Xue Wuhen looked at Fang Yuan with a dazed look. He had always thought he was a very prideful person, but he could not compare to this person before him. Fang Yuan spouted a lot of nonsense right away. His arrogance caused many people to be dissatisfied. The most dissatisfied person was Yi Lui Xiaojin. He was young and full of vigor. Yi Lui Kun Xing was his tribe member. Humiliating Yi Lui Kun Xing was like humiliating him. Therefore, this young Gu immortal immediately stood up and shouted loudly, "You don't dare to show your skills, but you have quite the mouth. How can you estimate the skills of my tribe's Lord Kun Xing? You are not being proud, but are intentionally saying this because you are afraid. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1203, Shameless. Chapter 1203, Shameless. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. I don't know if you are afraid or not, but we can all see whether you dare or not. A Baizu tribe Gu immortal sneered. He had pure Baizu bloodline. Behind him was Heavenly Lord Baizu. Even Chu Du did not have a sway over him. Fang Yuan lightly glanced at this person. The latter looked back without any fear. Clearly, Fang Yuan stealing the eagle nests had caused the hatred with Baizu tribe to be big. Fang Yuan swept his gaze around. The Gu immortals all gazed back at him with doubts, curiosity, uncertainty, anticipation and so on. Especially, Xue Wuhen who was beside him, his gaze was shining. Not fighting. What kind of person am I? This weakling. He, not worthy of me making a move. In the future, when my biography is written, my first battle after seclusion is against Heavenly Lord Baizu, but the second battle is with this thing? There won't be any splendor even if I win against such a minor character of Yi Lui tribe. No matter how open-minded Yi Lui Kun Xing was, his tone unavoidably had become colder from anger. So much nonsense. You have said so much, come fight me if you have guts. You don't have enough qualifications. Fang Yuan held his hands behind his back, head raised and chest out, as he looked at Yi Lui Kun Xing with unconcealed contempt. Many Gu immortals' eyes widened. They really wanted to ask, Yi Lui Kun Xing actually doesn't have enough qualifications, then who has the qualifications? What qualifications do you have? I really don't understand where you are getting such confidence from. You are clearly a demonic path lone cultivator, who knows where you came from. Yi Lui Kun Xing fighting you is giving you face, giving you the chance to perform and gain some glory. But the person involved, Fang Yuan, clearly did not have such a thought. The immortals began discussing. The situation had become noisy from the clamor. They were all talking about Fang Yuan, but Fang Yuan turned a deaf ear to their words. After a while, Gong Wanting's expression turned cold, lightly calling out, "Enough, do you all want to make the Grand Blood Battle Martial competition into a joke?" The Righteous Path immortals immediately turned silent. Gong Wanting then looked at Chu Du. Could it be that your side only has troublemakers remaining? Stalling for so long will only make others ridicule you. Facing the overbearing Gong Wanting, Chu Du did not reply, instead looking at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan ignored Chu Du's gaze and slightly turned towards the side, pointing backwards. You. Me. A former supreme elder of He tribe, currently a Baizu tribe Gu immortal, was completely stumped. not having expected Fang Yuan to suddenly point towards him. Go take the fight. If he can win against you, it means he has some qualifications for me to make a move once. Fang Yuan's tone was still very arrogant, even his own side's Gu immortals felt their teeth itch from hearing him. The immortals' gazes turned towards this unlucky person. This Gu immortal immediately felt huge pressure. His anger was boiling. Who did I provoke to suddenly send me to battle? Moreover, why the hell are you commanding me? I am a Baizu tribe Gu immortal, even domination immortal Chu Du can only discuss with me. How can you, a mere second supreme elder, command me? This Gu immortal had decided to refuse. But then he heard the discussions of other immortals. For instance, Yi Lui Kun Xing is so strong, he has already defeated 4 people in a row. Now, letting this person fight, isn't it letting the enemy gain more battle achievements? Humph, this person is only a minor character. Yi Lui Kun Xing can easily beat 2 of this guy. He is a He tribe Gu immortal, although his surname has changed to Baizu. Can he really fight to the death with a Huang Jin bloodline Gu immortal? Wow! When these discussions resounded in this Gu immortal's ears, he immediately realized that he had no choice but to go to battle. He fiercely glared at Fang Yuan. Unfortunately, Fang Yuan had already turned around, facing him with his back. The Baizu tribe Gu immortal was furious and aggrieved, but could only give in and fly to the stage. There was nothing unusual about the battle. This Gu immortal was clearly weaker than Yi Lui Kun Xing. After exchanging 10 or so moves, he lost. I hope Elder Lu Guanyi can fight now and enlighten us. This Baizu Gu immortal carried his injuries back, and his first words were to sarcastically speak to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan snorted, "You are too weak." The Baizu Gu immortal suppressed his anger. I am indeed too weak. Elder should show his divine prowess. Fang Yuan's following words almost made him flare up. Taking so long to fight with a weakling like you. I have to admit I had overestimated that Yi Lui Kun Xing. Now, I have no interest to battle with him at all. You. The Baizu Gu immortal was stifled to the point of being speechless. The immortal's gaze towards Fang Yuan were also vaguely changing. Xue Wuhen's expression was even more blatant. He sized up Fang Yuan with intense suspicion. So it was like this. The so-called Chu Sek's second supreme elder is just a poser. Yi Lui Kun Xing scoffed. His scoff felt piercing to Chu Du's side's Gu immortals. Lord Domination Immortal, have you ever seen him make a move? Yi Lui Xiao Jin also added. Chu Du was silent. He had sensed Fang Yuan's strange behavior but decided to wait and watch. Elder Lu Guanyi, if you truly have skills, go kill him. That Gu immortal of Baizu tribe sneered. Fang Yuan lightly shook his head, boasting shamelessly, how can you comprehend my power? That's why you will never have the hope of becoming an expert like me. Yi Lui Kun Xing flicked his sleeves and walked away. He knew Fang Yuan could not be forced to fight. In truth, after fighting 5 people in a row, he was indeed feeling exhaustion. His immortal essence expenditure was still good, the main thing was that his mind had been taxed a lot. Seeing him retrieve the star fragments and leave, many on Chu Du's side let out a sigh of relief. Yi Lui Xiao Jin was also extremely happy, as he raised his head high and ran to the entrance of Golden Dawn Hall to welcome Yi Lui Kun Xing. How could they have known Fang Yuan to speak? Look, he is indeed afraid of me. Even if I didn't enter the battle, he has been feeling frightened. Now he is unable to maintain his cool any longer, having no choice but to leave. Yi Lui Kun Xing's step slightly paused. Xue Wuhen's eyes widened, as he gazed at Fang Yuan and thought, there is actually such a shameless person in this world. It has really opened my eyes. Brother Chu actually gave this person the status of second supreme elder, perhaps his judgment has dulled. Yi Lui Xiao Jin's mouth almost twisted from anger. On the contrary, Yi Lui Huihong's expression slightly changed. He squinted his eyes and started looking at Fang Yuan. Yi Lui Kun Xing shook his head, continuing to leave without even glancing at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan laughed loudly. Yi Lui Kun Xing, F***ck your 18 generations of ancestors. The whole scene was silent, before they suddenly burst into an uproar. Where is your disposition? Where is it? The Gu immortals screamed internally. Who could have thought the elegant-looking Fang Yuan would swear out loud in public? Even if they were fighting for their lives, Gu immortals always maintained their disposition. After all, they all praised themselves as being righteous. Cursing like this in front of everyone was really letting go of one's reputation. His good looks are wasted. A Gu immortal gazed at Fang Yuan, shaking their head constantly. No doubt, the favorable impression Fang Yuan gave to the immortals at first glance was already ruined. Fang Yuan laughed sinisterly, suddenly walking to the battle stage. Yi Lui, whatever, I am here, didn't you want to fight with me? Yi Lui Kun Xing stopped and gazed back. The atmosphere of the whole scene changed. Inside Golden Dawn Hall, Yi Lui Huihong was sitting upright, his expression solemn. Kun Xing, careful, this person is doing something underhanded. Come back. Fang Yuan's earlier and later attitude made Yi Lui Huihong realize that something was fishy. Fang Yuan laughed heartily. Gutless rat, Yi Lui tribe is made up of cowards, you are a bunch of bastards. All kinds of derogatory terms were thrown out one after the other. The immortals were stupefied as they listened. Chu Du wanted to cover his face. Fang Yuan did not have even a bit of elegance, he was destroying the image of Chu sect. A piece of rat poop spoils an entire pot of soup. It was the first time Chu Du reconsidered on his decision to draw in Fang Yuan, was it correct? But no matter what anyone said, Fang Yuan's provocation was effective. The righteous path was easier to deal with than demonic path and lone cultivators in certain aspects. Especially when the question was about reputation. When it involved the tribe and bloodline, even if one did not care on the inside and was willing to ignore the others cursing, in front of the public, with so many outsiders watching fixedly, it became another situation. The super forces which were held together by bloodline and blood relations protected and attached great importance to the reputations of their ancestors. This was their basic moral philosophy. Kun Xing, come back. I will personally face the skills of this Chu sect's second supreme elder. Yi Lui Huihong stood up. Fang Yuan unavoidably felt disappointed inwardly, but laughed on the surface. Yi Lui Kun Xing, it's time to scram. Yi Lui Kun Xing waved his hand at Yi Lui Huihong, smiling at Fang Yuan, revealing his white teeth. Since it is so hard to find a chance for you to fight, how can I avoid the battle and escape? It is just that I have fought hard for 5 battles, and need to rest for a while. Such a request was completely fair. Fang Yuan smiled. This Yi Lui Kun Xing could still be so cool-headed. But he also did not expect these words to be able to make these Gu immortals lose their rationality from anger. In truth, his pestering had already reached his target. So, Fang Yuan immediately allowed, rest as much as you want, I will give you 2 or 3 days. If 2 or 3 days are not enough, then take 2 or 3 years, ahaha. Hee, an hour is enough. Yi Lui Kun Xing smiled with clenched teeth. Fang Yuan was really detestable. Yi Lui Kun Xing was naturally very angry. But he was also very aware of his own situation. His immortal essence expenditure was not much and he still had a lot of reserves left. Resting for an hour was mainly to restore his mental energy. He had his own methods for this, and after an hour, he could completely recover to his peak state. At that time, he will let this Lu Guanyi taste his power. This hour of time appeared somewhat unbearable as the Gu immortals waited. Finally, Yi Lui Kun Xing recovered and walked to the stage, standing opposite Fang Yuan. Lu Guanyi, I. Yi Lui Kun Xing was just about to speak when Fang Yuan's body suddenly erupted with dazzling silver light. At the next instance, a silver-colored ancient sword dragon shot out of the light. It had a sharp dragon horn, its mouth was opened wide, revealing it to be densely filled with sharp fangs. So despicable. He actually sneak attacked. The righteous path's immortals scolded at once. The ancient sword dragon had already neared Yi Lui Kun Xing. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1204, How could it be seen through? Chapter 1204, How could it be seen through? Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Yi Lui Kun Xing had a great fright as he quickly retreated. This shameless guy. He cursed inwardly, not having expected Fang Yuan's actions. Every time he felt that Fang Yuan was shameless, Fang Yuan's following actions would completely redefine shamelessness. Fortunately, Yi Lui Kun Xing had been all the while and reacted in time. One chased and the other escaped. The distance between Fang Yuan and Yi Lui Kun Xing was rapidly shrinking. The immortals held their breaths. Yi Lui Xiaojin also subconsciously stood up, looking at Yi Lui Kun Xing with worry. Yi Lui Huihong, however, stood stably in his seat. He had a better understanding of Yi Lui Kun Xing's trump cards and did not think Yi Lui Kun Xing was in danger right now. So he cultivates Ancient Sword Dragon transformation. Chu Du thought. Ancient Sword Dragon, based on potential, it is still inferior to my heaven-swallowing hound. Immortal Wang had clenched teeth. He finally took action. This was what many Gu immortals were thinking. Go! The retreating Yi Lui Kun Xing suddenly called out, pushing lightly towards the charging Ancient Sword Dragon. Immediately, his whole hand emitted brilliant blue light. A star fragment shot out from the blue light and collided against Fang Yuan with a speed like that of a meteor. Fang Yuan roared towards the sky before suddenly moving. The whole Ancient Sword Dragon made a beautiful arc in the air, as it nimbly moved past the incoming star fragment, almost brushing past it. When the Gu immortals saw this scene, despite having an extremely bad impression of Fang Yuan, many of them could not help but give praise internally, as they sensed Fang Yuan had already reached a proficient level at Ancient Sword Dragon transformation. Such control made Fang Yuan seem like he was an Ancient Sword Dragon from the start of his life. Not good. Immortal Wang suddenly spoke. Almost at the same time, Yi Lui Kun Xing saw Fang Yuan moving past this star fragment, and the corner of lips slightly raised up. Ping! A sharp sound echoed. Fang Yuan's dragon tail swung, directly smashing the star fragment he had brushed past. The ancient sword dragon Fang Yuan had a more terrifying tail compared to its claws. Its tail could directly smash dark inkstone, let alone this star fragment. Such a response made even Chu Du pleasantly surprised. He was happy inwardly. The information path Gu Worm I gave to Lu Guanyi has records of all the battle scenes of Yi Lui Kun Xing. So Lu Guanyi knows he absolutely cannot let Yi Lui Kun Xing have many star fragments under his control. The greater the number of star fragments he controls, the stronger he would become. Finally, it would form into an enormous advantage that managed to defeat 5 people in a row. Yi Lui Kun Xing was slightly disappointed when he saw Fang Yuan responding in the wisest way, and quickly increased his retreating speed. At the same time, he repeatedly clapped. Layers of blue light covered his 2 hands, from which star fragments shot out one after the other. At first, they were only thumb-sized, but as they moved in the air, they returned to their original size and flew more rapidly, bringing in strong gusts of wind. Boom boom boom. Fang Yuan used his horn, claws as well as his body and tail to destroy all these star fragments. He did not give Yi Lui Kun Xing any opportunity to accumulate power. For a moment, star debris flew all around, turning into blue fragments like fog or sand, which scattered with the strong gale, creating a beautiful sight that was difficult to describe. The silver scales of the ancient sword dragon also added to this beauty, as it moved along the star debris. Chu Du slightly frowned. Originally, Fang Yuan made a wise choice of smashing the star fragments, targeting the weakness of Yi Lui Kun Xing's immortal killer move. But also because of this, it led to a decrease in Fang Yuan's speed. The distance between the two did not shrink much. The advantage of the sneak attack before had already disappeared now. Yi Lui Kun Xing had already stabilized himself. He snorted, as he struck out with his hands rapidly. Star fragments shot out everywhere, but not directly towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan fell into a difficult situation with 2 choices in front of him. If he charged directly towards Yi Lui Kun Xing, the latter would retreat and he would not be able to forcibly close the distance. At the same time, the surrounding star fragments would keep on increasing, accumulating a great advantage for the latter. If Fang Yuan dealt with these star fragments, he would have to keep on flying around, and would fall deeper into Yi Lui Kun Xing's scheme, giving the latter the initiative to more easily arrange the battle situation. The ancient sword dragon slowed down its offense in its state of hesitation. Sensing this, Chu Du's frown became deeper, while Yi Lui Huihong, inside Golden Dawn Hall, was starting to smile, taking a small sip of fine wine. Despite Fang Yuan's hesitation not lasting for long, he had missed a good opportunity and there were now dozens of star fragments on the battlefield. Yi Lui Kun Xing's advantage had started to accumulate. Fang Yuan was surrounded by the star fragments, despite him not caring about his body, and engaging in even more crazed offenses, he was not able to break through the layers of encirclement. Yi Lui Kun Xing relaxed, the star fragments continued to increase, not only surrounding Fang Yuan, some had also appeared beside him, orbiting around continuously. Lu Guanyi, you acted arrogant and boasted shamelessly, it was to make me take back the star fragments so I would have to lay them out again. Your scheme was quite deep, almost letting others think you are wildly arrogant. Unfortunately, I am not the same person I was years ago. A few years ago, I already improved upon this weakness of my immortal killer move. It is indeed somewhat weak at the start, but your methods are not enough to restrain me. Now, what are you going to use to resolve this situation? A dragon's roar resounded, Fang Yuan moved his body, brandished his claws, and destroyed countless star fragments, star debris flew all around. The dragon's might was powerful, its speed was especially astonishing. Unfortunately, the spectating immortals sensed weakness within this strong momentum. Fang Yuan was attacking wildly, but Yi Lui Kun Xing was far away, watching with arms folded in front of him, maneuvering the star fragments leisurely. As time passed, there were more and more star fragments orbiting around Yi Lui Kun Xing. Lu Guanyi has lost. Immortal Wang spoke decisively at this sight. Xue Wuhen did not speak, inwardly thinking, based on strength, Elder Lu Guanyi is indeed powerful, at the same level as Elder Hao Zhen and Elder Chou Lao Wu. But there is still a gap when compared to Yi Lui Kun Xing. Chu Du was still frowning, the strength Fang Yuan displayed was not consistent with his expectations. But he still felt Fang Yuan had a trump card and was still confident in Fang Yuan, and until the end of the battle, he would choose to keep his expectations. Yi Lui Xiaojin laughed heartily at the entrance of Golden Dawn Hall, and shouted, "That Lu Guan or whatever, why are you not yelling now? Come on, continue boasting. Didn't you say my tribe's Lord Kun Xing could not compare to you? Didn't you say fighting him would lower your status? Why are you not speaking now? Only knowing how to yell, what do you want to vent out?" The ancient sword dragon roared furiously, destroying the star fragments. Sensing Fang Yuan's furious mood, Yi Lui Xiaojin laughed again. Chu Sek's second supreme elder is only at this level. In all fairness, he does have some strength. Have you counted how many star fragments he has already destroyed? But that is useless, Yi Lui Kun Xing's dominance is already increasing. Lu Guanyi's hesitation earlier decided the battle. This was his only fault, but it was perfectly used by Yi Lui Kun Xing. Thinking of it, it is also not strange. What is Chu sect? How can they be on par with our great Huangjin forces? Their second supreme elder has such battle strength, Chu Du cannot be considered to have made a bad judgment. The righteous path Gu immortals drank and rejoiced inside Golden Dawn Hall, the atmosphere was relaxed. Yi Lui Huihong stroked his beard, the smile on his face had become brighter, but at the same time, he did not forget to speak and remind Yi Lui Kun Xing, be careful of his dragon breath. The ancient sword dragon's strongest weapon is its breath. Until now, he still hasn't breathed out once. Yi Lui Kun Xing slightly nodded. Even without Yi Lui Huihong's reminder, he had already been concerned about this. Experts. They were not decided with just strength, but also their mental state during battle. No doubt, Yi Lui Kun Xing, who had suffered numerous defeats, had an extremely good mentality. He was an expert that had gone through painstaking training, setbacks and defeats. His foundation was extremely solid and stable. However, Yi Lui Kun Xing did not retreat. Right now, he was quite far away from Fang Yuan, almost at the opposite end of the battlefield. Yi Lui Kun Xing looked at the star fragments orbiting around him, and thought, I have 100 star fragments protecting me. Even if Chu Duke personally comes, I can resist for a while, let alone this Lu Guanyi. Dong Fang Chong Fan, you might have passed away, but let me sustain the reputation of myriad star fireflies for you. After all, my immortal killer move had received your guidance. Right as most of the Gu immortals felt the battle was decided, there was a sudden change. Sword Escape Immortal Gu. Suddenly, Fang Yuan activated rank 7 Sword Escape Immortal Gu. Right now, he had transformed into an ancient sword dragon. His transformation path Dao marks had turned into sword path Dao marks, adding on to his cultivation of sword eyebrows Immortal Gu, his sword path Dao marks had already reached a number of 10,000. 1,000 Dao marks could double an Immortal Gu's power. 10,000 Dao marks could add 10 times the power. Sword Escape Immortal Gu was already an exceptional movement Gu worm among rank 7 Immortal Gu. Now, 10 times its power was added. At the same time, the ancient sword dragon's own speed also had to be calculated. Sword dragons did not have strong long-range attacks, but their burst of speed from a stationary state was astonishing. Ancient sword dragon, sword escape Immortal Gu and 10,000 sword path Dao marks, when stacked together, allowed Fang Yuan to instantly disappear from his spot. Before any immortals had reacted, he had already flown through the whole battlefield and appeared in front of Yi Lui Kun Xing. At this moment, Yi Lui Kun Xing's expression was still paused on a strategic and victorious smile. But his pupils had shrunk to needle-sized, as he looked, with extreme fright, at a gigantic sword dragon head that filled his whole vision. He only had one thought in his mind. Impossible. My star fragments' flying trajectories are extremely profound and takes reference from myriad star fireflies, how could he see through it? This was Yi Lui Kun Xing's final thought in life. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1205, Be Careful of Lu Guanyi. Chapter 1205, Be Careful of Lu Guanyi. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Everything happened too quickly. At the previous moment, the ancient sword dragon was still tightly surrounded by star fragments. It was charging here and there, roaring repeatedly but unable to do anything. At the previous moment, Yi Lui Kun Xing was still at the other end of the battlefield, star fragments were orbiting around him like he was the Lord of Stars. At the previous moment, almost all the Gu immortals felt Yi Lui Kun Xing already had victory in his grasp and the battle was decided. Because they were very much familiar with the scene that was unfolding in front of them. Before this, the 5 Gu immortals Yi Lui Kun Xing had defeated in succession were all in this situation. Although there was no study of subconscious bias in this world, these Gu immortals' thought processes were almost the same at this moment. Then, at the next moment, Fang Yuan suddenly used Sword Escape Immortal Gu, instantaneously bursting out with an extremely terrifying speed. At the next moment, the ancient sword dragon had destroyed all the obstructing star fragments in its path, and arrived in front of Yi Lui Kun Xing. He opened his mouth and breathed out. Dragon breath. While Yi Lui Kun Xing was still confident in his defensive methods, his whole head had instantly been sliced off. The human body was weak and had many fatal areas. Once the head was cut off, they would die. Even if they turned into an immortal zombie, their head was still a weak point. Yi Lui Kun Xing immediately died. Fang Yuan smoothly grabbed his body. A portion of Yi Lui Kun Xing's soul was also cut, and before it could escape from his physical body, Fang Yuan had already stored it inside his immortal aperture. The whole process went extremely quickly. Fang Yuan had already been plotting for a long time. Activating Sword Escape, charging in, using his dragon breath and retrieving the corpse. The whole process involved 4 actions. But even so, after Fang Yuan finished these 4 actions, his whole dragon body had already charged out of the battlefield, reaching several li away. One could feel how terrifying his speed was. If it were a human body, it might have already burst from the enormous pressure brought by such intense speed. Fortunately, Fang Yuan had transformed into a dragon. But even with this, Fang Yuan felt quite a bit of pressure when he had charged. His vision had already turned blurry. If he had human eyes, they would not have been able to keep up with such speed. But Fang Yuan's eyes were dragon eyes now, even so, it was difficult for his eyes to cope with this speed. At this speed, even Fang Yuan felt like he could not sustain it. If I am to move with this speed, I must use all my energy and concentration in controlling my body. Otherwise, if there is any deviation in my direction, who knows whether I crash into peaks or the ground at the next moment. This speed is too fast, one moment I am still in the air, and the next moment I am already several li away. Fang Yuan thought in his mind. He thought of when he had first gotten the sovereign immortal aperture and practiced colliding into southern borders mounds. Besides knocking himself dizzy, the whole mound and even the veins underneath had been destroyed. This speed was quite suitable for a momentary burst, but in truth, it was not highly practical during battle. Once Fang Yuan used his fastest speed, he would have to use all his energy and concentration in controlling the ancient sword dragon body. As such, he could only perform some simple actions, or maybe rely on the transformed sword dragon body. If so, it would be quite dangerous. Because although Fang Yuan would have a sturdy and strong body in ancient sword dragon form, the sovereign immortal body's characteristic of non-conflicting Dao marks would still exist. Ancient sword dragon transformation is a classic case of strong offense and weak defense. Moreover, there is an extreme imbalance between its offense and defense. Fortunately, I actually succeeded this time and killed Yi Lui Kun Xing. My luck is pretty good. First, I need to find a place to annex this immortal aperture before I think of anything else. Fang Yuan did not return, directly flying away from Blood Plain. The Gu immortals of both sides watched his figure dazedly, until he disappeared into the horizon. The immortals looked at the messy battlefield with countless star debris as well as many star fragments still flying in the air. Only then did they come to a sudden realization. Lu Guanyi, he killed Yi Lui Kun Xing. Unbelievable. This is like a dream. Too fast, we simply cannot react to such speed. Regardless of the righteous path or Chu Du's side, they were both clamoring in discussions. Gu immortals did not transmit their voices secretly, but directly spoke out, as if they could only release the doubts in their hearts by speaking up. Yi Lui Xiaojin was standing, dumbfounded, at the entrance of Golden Dawn Hall, like a statue. Just moments before Yi Lui Kun Xing was killed by Fang Yuan, he had still been shouting and mocking Fang Yuan. Now, these words he spoke out, as well as his actions, seemed to be like slaps that struck his face repeatedly and resoundingly. He was shaken and shocked, unable to believe this fact. Yi Lui Huihong also stood from his seat. His hand was still holding a wine cup and his beard was wet from the spilling of the wine. Just the moment before Fang Yuan killed Yi Lui Kun Xing, he had been sitting and moving the wine cup to his lips. But after the matter occurred, Yi Lui Huihong subconsciously stood up from shock, not caring about the wine cup in his hand, letting the wine spill on his beard, neck and clothes. Yi Lui Kun Xing was dead. An expert of Yi Lui tribe, a famous Northern Plains Gu immortal, Yi Lui Kun Xing was dead. His death was so sudden that there had been no signs at all. If Yi Lui Xiaojin was said to be a future hope of Yi Lui tribe, then Yi Lui Kun Xing was a current pillar of the tribe. But he had died. His life had ended here. This was an extremely heavy impact to Yi Lui Huihong and Yi Lui Xiaojin. And to the whole of Yi Lui tribe as well, this was an extremely big loss. Terrifying, too powerful. He is indeed the second supreme elder of Chu sect, such astonishing battle strength. Chu Du really has an eye for talent. I had been looking down on Lu Guanyi just before, my insight is still too superficial. The Gu immortals on Chu Du's side were all showing happy expressions. Despite them not liking Fang Yuan, the battle achievement was displayed in front of them. Fang Yuan had resolved their difficult problem, Yi Lui Kun Xing, permanently. From now, there would be no such person in Northern Plains Gu immortal world. Amazing. Elder Lu put on a pretentious appearance to incite the other side. Then during the battle, he lured the enemy into having a false sense of security step by step. He clearly has such strength, but he restrained himself until the last moment, when he dealt the fatal blow. Shui Wuhen heaved a long sigh. He was thoroughly convinced. Such a turn of events made him fully admire Fang Yuan. How laughable I was, I had still been thinking Elder Lu was nothing impressive. Sigh, if I was Elder Lu's enemy, I might have died without knowing how I died. I am still too inexperienced. Everyone needs to pay attention, this Lu Guanyi is extremely crafty, be vigilant when you encounter him in the future. Inside Golden Dawn Hall, New Air Gu spoke with a grave expression, breaking the long silence. Right now, as they thought back to Fang Yuan's performance, they all felt Fang Yuan was extremely insidious and sly. The arrogance before the battle and the weak display during the battle were just disguises so he could strike with the most fatal attack at the end. He did not make a move carelessly, but when he moved, it shook everyone. Ping Ji, if you run into this Lu Guanyi alone in the future, it would be best for you to avoid him and retreat. Nian Er Yifang looked at his tribe's future hope, and spoke with worry. Nian Er Ping Ji nodded, yes. I understand. I am only a sword child right now, when I become a sword master in the future and cultivate to rank 7, I will definitely have a proper fight with this elder Lu Guanyi. The righteous Path Gu immortals spoke to each other. Yi Lui Kun Xing died a miserable death. The whole battle was in Lu Guanyi's grasp. What we and Yi Lui Kun Xing felt and saw, was all just his facade. Sigh, who could have thought he had such strength? Elder Yi Lui Huihong, don't blame yourself. We will definitely take revenge for Yi Lui tribe in the coming battles. Yi Lui Huihong had already snapped back to awareness. There was one thing he did not understand in his mind, how was Lu Guanyi able to easily penetrate through the heavy lines of defense from Yi Lui Kun Xing's numerous star fragments? He had sparred many times with Yi Lui Kun Xing and was very clear on how much power the defensive lines held. This doubt was shrouding over Yi Lui Huihong's heart, like a heavy dark fog. He took 2 large breaths, his face was still pale, but he forcibly calmed down because right now, he represented the whole of Yi Lui tribe. If his performance was not good, the whole of Yi Lui tribe would be disgraced. Lady Gong Ting. Yi Lui Huihong took a deep bow to the main seat. My tribe's Yi Lui Kun Xing is of pure Huang Jin bloodline, sacrificing his life here is also a glory for him, he is a hero of our Huang Jin bloodline. But now, his corpse is still in his killer's hands, his soul also might still be alive. I sincerely request to come forward and recover Kun Xing's corpse and his soul. Of course. Gong Wanting softly agreed, her attitude was straightforward and clear. According the rules set by both sides previously, they could exchange corpses. But right now, Fang Yuan had already raced off to who knows where with Yi Lui Kun Xing's corpse. Even if the righteous Path Gu immortals wanted to chase him, they were too late. Thus, Gong Wanting directly asked Chu Du. Chu Du was also surprised at Fang Yuan's direct departure, and had already sent a letter to ask. Fang Yuan had such strength, Chu Du still needed to rely on him. Just as Gong Wanting had asked, Chu Du had coincidentally received Fang Yuan's reply in his immortal aperture. I have great use for Yi Lui Kun Xing's corpse. Brother Chu, if you have no choice, just expel me from Chu sect. These were 2 simple sentences, but they expressed Fang Yuan's firm and unrelenting attitude. Chu Du frowned, but spoke calmly to Gong Wanting, Fairy, you can rest at ease, Yi Lui Kun Xing's corpse will definitely be guarded properly. I have already notified my sect's 2nd Supreme Elder. But to exchange for the corpse, your side will have to pay a price. Everything can be discussed. Yi Lui Huihong immediately agreed, his stance was clear. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1206, Becoming Rank 7. Chapter 1206, Becoming Rank 7. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Fang Yuan had already thrown the matter of the blood battle martial competition to the back of his mind. He absolutely would not let go of Yi Lui Kun Xing's immortal aperture. Even if he could not annex it right now, he could do so in the future. As for the righteous path's demand for Yi Lui Kun Xing's corpse and soul, Fang Yuan thought about it and was willing to satisfy a portion of the request, regarding the body. His focus was the immortal aperture. Yi Lui Kun Xing's soul also could not be transacted. He could soul search and obtain many of Yi Lui tribe's secrets. After the soul search, he could still hand over this Gu immortal soul to Xianxia sect and earn sect contribution points. The urgent matter right now is to test whether I can annex this immortal aperture or not. Fang Yuan flew rapidly. He took twists and turns, guarding against heaven's will. A few hours later, he arrived at Taichou. Taichou was not too far away from Blood Plain. If looked from Northern Plains map, Blood Plain would be at the left side and Taichou would be at the right side. The territory in between was He tribe's Iron Eagle Blessed Land. Blood Plain, Iron Eagle Blessed Land and Taichou, if these three were connected in two lines, they would form an irregular V shape. Entering Taichou, Fang Yuan changed his appearance and sneaked inside. He was familiar with the route and soon, he arrived at the Super Gu formation he had arranged previously. Through the Super Gu formation, he arrived at Xianxia Blessed Land. Fang Yuan has returned. Sixth Hair immediately paid close attention to Fang Yuan's every move. Ever since he left after exchanging for Dragon Breath Immortal Gu, this is the first time he has returned. What did he use Dragon Breath Immortal Gu for? Sixth Hair was constantly guessing. He did not know that hours ago, Fang Yuan had used Ancient Sword Dragon Transformation to kill a rank 7 Gu Immortal Expert, Yi Lui Kun Xing. This person was at the same level as Pai Shui Han, an unfettered scholar. Fang Yuan's strength was now already able to compare favorably to these characters. Since the failure at Tian Mountain, Shadow Sect was in an extremely disordered state. Sixth Hair might very well be the only survivor of Shadow Sect left in Northern Plains. His information gathering was much slower than before. But the news of Fang Yuan killing Yi Lui Kun Xing could not be covered up. This news was too shocking and would soon spread throughout the whole of Northern Plains Gu Immortal world, and even Central Continent's Gu Immortals would hear of it. After all, Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects were also paying attention to this blood battle martial competition. Fang Yuan is leaving again? Sixth Hair was astonished. The Super Gu formation flashed again as Fang Yuan left. Sixth Hair did not know what Fang Yuan was doing, coming and going in such a hurry. But he intuitively felt something amiss, and was somewhat panicked. He felt Fang Yuan was going to obtain enormous benefits at this time. Fang Yuan's growth rate was increasing rapidly, and to Shadow Sect, this was very bad news. Fang Yuan used Xianxia Blessed Land to teleport. He wanted to annex the immortal aperture. For that, he had to first place the aperture. He could not place the immortal aperture in Blood Plain. The commotion would be huge and it would attract countless gazes, and that was not good for Fang Yuan. It was not easy to obtain this rank 7-star path immortal aperture. I naturally want the process of annexing it to go without any mishaps. When Fang Yuan appeared in the other Gu formation outside, he was already very far away from Blood Plain. He had already planned his actions, and had already chosen a location. Exiting the teleportation Gu formation, he hit his tracks and flew rapidly, arriving above ordinary grassland not long later. After inspecting and not finding anything wrong, Fang Yuan took out Yi Lui Kun Xing's corpse. The pitiful fellow's head had already been sliced off entirely. Fang Yuan used temporary measures to handle the headless corpse, ensuring the immortal aperture would still exist. This method had its own history. When Fang Yuan had seen Blazing Heaven Demoness method of retrieving apertures, he had also inquired her for some research results of old immortal Kong Ju. Adding on to Fang Yuan's methods from his first life, he had created his own method in preserving an immortal aperture. Yi Lui Kun Xing's soul was already taken out by Fang Yuan and sealed properly. The situation was a little troublesome. Yi Lui Kun Xing's soul had similarly suffered from his dragon breath, and its injuries were not light. Fortunately, Fang Yuan had Guts Gu. Although this Gu worm was only a mortal Gu, it was created from a secluded domain of heaven and earth, and was among the best methods of soul strengthening in this world. Fang Yuan was the owner of Dang Hun Mountain, thus he had large reserves of them with him. After using many Guts Gu, despite Yi Lui Kun Xing's soul being on the verge of dissipation, it was finally rescued. Fang Yuan released the seal he laid out and threw the corpse onto the grassland. The mighty Yi Lui Kun Xing, who had enjoyed boundless glory while alive, was treated so casually after dying. If Yi Lui tribe's Gu immortals were to see this, they would definitely jump out in anger to stake their lives against Fang Yuan. Several breaths later, there was turbulence in heaven and earth chi. The immortal aperture began to land on the ground, causing a huge commotion. Fortunately, Fang Yuan had dog shit luck and was not as unlucky as before, when it seemed like he might even die from choking when drinking water. Without any surprises, the immortal aperture's entrance opened in front of Fang Yuan. Despite having the upper extreme heavenly eagle, he still took the chance to enter Kun Xing blessed land through the entrance. Yi Lui Kun Xing's blessed land was rather peculiar. The sky was a scene of darkness, but the ground below emitted dim blue light. The moment Fang Yuan glanced, his mind shook. He discovered, the ground of this blessed land was actually covered with countless star fragments. The large ones among these star fragments were as big as shells, while the small ones were the size of pebbles, and they gave a rustling sound when stepped on. The blessed land seemed endless in size, its surface was vast and its terrain was level. Fang Yuan wanted to fly, but felt a powerful magnetic force that firmly kept him to the ground. The ground suddenly protruded up, then a basin-sized star core floated in front of Fang Yuan. This azure star core was like a dark blue crystal ball, it was this blessed land's land spirit. It was bright and colorful, and was slowly revolving on its own axis, emitting all kinds of light rays, making Fang Yuan mentally associate them to the rays of light in those perfect diamonds back on Earth. Amidst soundless communication, Fang Yuan learned about this blessed land's ownership condition. To ordinary Gu immortals, this condition was quite difficult. Because the land spirit's request was to show the true, complete version of the immortal killer move, myriad star fireflies, to it. While alive, Yi Lui Kun Xing had all along been pondering on myriad star fireflies. The immortal killer move he created also imitated myriad star fireflies heavily. His obsession was about this. After death, his obsession combined with the heavenly power in the immortal aperture, to form this land spirit. My luck is overflowing, it cannot be stopped, ha ha ha. Fang Yuan immediately took out the whole contents of myriad star fireflies and gave it to the land spirit. He was the killer of Dong Fang Chang Fan and had searched Dong Fang Chang Fan's soul countless times, sometimes also torturing him. In the end, he had handed Dong Fang Chang Fan's soul to Langya land spirit like it was rubbish, and exchanged it for sect contribution points. After a while, Fang Yuan became this blessed land's master. Now is the most crucial moment. Let's see if I can annex this blessed land. Fang Yuan rested for a while before beginning. Immortal apertures could annex one another, and summarizing the experiences of predecessors, there were three main conditions for this. First, annexing an immortal aperture required specific attainment level. Second, a smaller immortal aperture could not engulf a bigger one. Third, dead apertures could not be annexed. Fang Yuan already satisfied two conditions for annexing Kun Xing blessed land. But there was still one condition left which was somewhat ambiguous. A smaller immortal aperture could not engulf a bigger one. The question here was, what was small and what was big? If it was cultivation level, rank 6 immortal apertures were small and rank 7 immortal aperture were big, then Fang Yuan would not be able to annex this Kun Xing blessed land. If it was based on the immortal aperture's foundation and so on, Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture absolutely surpassed Kun Xing blessed land, and could devour it. Fang Yuan had already wanted to test this and verify it. The regretful thing was that there were very few rank 7 immortal apertures among the immortal apertures he knew of, and he was also unable to fulfill the attainment level conditions. Until now, when Fang Yuan seized Kun Xing Blessed Land. Fang Yuan had both skills and boldness. He began to test. With the land spirit's help, he began to annex Kun Xing Blessed Land. The process was smooth beyond expectations. He simply did not encounter any obstacles. The test succeeded. After annexing Kun Xing Blessed Land, not only did the sovereign immortal aperture have an enormous star fragment playing, more importantly, many of Fang Yuan's calamities and tribulations were past, letting him officially ascend to rank 7 from rank 6. Rank 7 Gu Immortal. From this moment on, I am a rank 7 Gu Immortal. I have finally become a rank 7. Fang Yuan was filled with emotions. In the 500 years of his first life, he had only been at rank 6 second heavenly tribulation level. Naturally, the current Fang Yuan knew that Heavens Will had intentionally suppressed his cultivation level. Heavens Will required an otherworldly demon as a tool to deal with Shadow Sect. Fang Yuan was chosen by Heaven's Will. Naturally it carved and sculpted Fang Yuan to make him a qualified chess piece. At the least, his cultivation level could not be too high. If he was too strong, Heaven's Will would find it more difficult to control Fang Yuan. He also could not be too weak, otherwise, even with rebirth, he could not be of any use. Rank 6 was just right. This was a long-term plan of Heaven's Will. But at present, because of all kinds of fortuitous encounters as well as his own efforts and perseverance, Fang Yuan had finally broken through Heaven's Will's restrictions and charged to rank 7. Its significance was huge. Rank 6 Gu Immortals were considered bottom tier, they were numerous. Rank 7 Gu Immortals were mid-tier, they were the elites among Gu Immortals and had high statuses. Rank 8s were rare, their every move could create a storm in a region. Reaching this level, Fang Yuan had already become an elite among Gu Immortals, an expert. If a rank 6 saw him, they would have to detour around him. Even among rank 7 Gu Immortals, Fang Yuan was only wary of Yi Lui Kun Xing, Unfettered Scholar, New Air Gu, such characters of this level. Chu Du. Fang Yuan estimated he was still somewhat below him. Fortunately, Chu Du was currently his ally. At this moment, the sovereign immortal aperture began to produce red date immortal essence. Shortly, Fang Yuan would possess his own red date immortal essence. At the same time, he could also merge his accumulated green grape immortal essence and turn them into red date immortal essence. 100 beads of green grape immortal essence could merge into a bead of red date immortal essence. I need to merge them. If green grape immortal essence was used to activate rank 7 immortal Gu, there would be at least 30% additional expenditure. After merging them into red date immortal essence, there won't be any meaningless loss in this aspect. Once some time passes, I will have reserves of red date immortal essence and will no longer have to fear battles of attrition. The difficult situation when Heavenly Lord Baizu attacked He Fan Grotto Heaven will be completely behind me. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1207, Doing Something Bad. Chapter 1207, Doing Something Bad. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Ha! Haojin flew to the sky and spat out a thunderbolt. This thunderbolt shrunk into a ball, with the color of lapis lazuli, and charged towards Haojin's opponent with a speed that seemed to be slow but was actually fast. His opponent was a Gu immortal of Murong tribe who had a burly stature, with muscles that were like layers of rocks. He had a wide nose bridge, large chin, and small forehead, making his head look like a triangle. Seeing the thunderbolt approach him, he actually did not dodge and let the thunderbolt land on his body. Boom! The thunderbolt exploded, lightning splashed out everywhere, dazzling the spectating immortal's eyes for a moment. After the lightning dissipated, the Murong tribe Gu immortal was standing on the same spot without even budging. There was a patch of burnt color on his chest from which white smoke was still rising. But, the effect was only that. This is your strongest attack. You have burned some of my hair, it is a little more powerful than before. This Murong tribe Gu immortal spoke in a tranquil tone without a hint of frustration. You. Hao Zhen's eyes seemed to spout fire from anger, but he was not able to retort. His strongest killer move had no effect on this opponent. Wonderful. He is indeed the Gu immortal famous for his defense in northern plains. Murong Gang, this guy has not attacked at all and is only taking the beating passively. Elder Hao Zhen's offense actually could not show any results. Both sides Gu immortals exclaimed in surprise. Fang Yuan killing Yi Lui Kun Xing had been an extremely heavy blow to the righteous path. To turn the tide of the situation and raise morale, Gong Wanting immediately took measures to make Murong tribe's strongest expert among their current group take action. It was this burly man who seemed to be forged from steel, Murong Gang. Chu Du was frowning again. He sighed internally. Just now, Yi Lui Kun Xing was killed, now there is Murong Gang. These Huang Jin tribes are indeed the overlords who have ruled northern plains for so many years, their accumulation is truly powerful. At this moment, Hao Zhen admitted his defeat and returned with a pale expression. I am ashamed, I could not live up to your expectations. Chu Du consoled him with a few words. Fang Yuan had not left for long, and he had fallen into the same awkward situation like before. He looked at the immortals behind him, but found he had no capable people to send. In my opinion, the strongest person among us is you, Supreme Elder. But, you cannot easily take the stage, I think you need to call back Elder Lu. Immortal Wang suggested. His suggestion was immediately approved by many Gu immortals. Right, Elder Lu's strength is unfathomable, he can kill Murong Gang. Elder Lu killed Yi Lui Kun Xing easily, killing Murong Gang won't be a problem for him. Elder Lu's ancient sword Dragon Breath is too powerful. Even Murong Gang spoke, Domination Immortal, don't send other minor characters. Besides you, the only one who can enter my, Murong Gang's, eyes, is Lu Guanyi. Bring him out, I would like to experience the power of his Dragon Breath. Damn it! He is actually looking down on us. Chou Lao Wu was furious. Hao Zhen clenched his fists. If it were 2-on-2, we could use Wind Thunder Roar and wipe them out. After seeing Fang Yuan's power, Hao Zhen and Chou Lao Wu had no more dissatisfaction towards their position of third and fourth supreme elders. Hao Zhen was only saying this to retain some face. Actually, he was aware that his and Chou Lao Wu's Wind Thunder Roar was powerful, but it was not easy to use it and it required a safe environment. Like before, when Heavenly Lord Baizu attacked Heifan Grotto Heaven, they were able to use Wind Thunder Roar because they were protected by other Gu immortals. Everyone was anticipating Fang Yuan's reappearance. Chu Du's side hoped Fang Yuan could raise their might again. The Righteous Path side hoped they could kill Fang Yuan. Avenging Yi Lui tribe was secondary, the main thing was that they wanted to kill this person to salvage their face. Chu Du naturally also hoped Fang Yuan would take the stage again. But Fang Yuan had not given any reply. Chu Du could only smile bitterly at this, and could do nothing about it. His and Fang Yuan's relationship was of mutual benefits and they held equal status. Langya blessed land, inside a secret room in a cloud city. Fang Yuan was sitting cross-legged on a prayer mat, his divine sense entering his immortal aperture. He was merging green grape immortal essence and refining them into red date immortal essence. This merging method was widely popular and was not anything new. Countless mortal Gu was moving on their specific trajectories, some were standing still, some emitted light, while some flew continuously. Under the effect of these Gu worms, beads of green grape immortal essence were slowly but surely merging together. Tens of thousands of green grape immortal essence were piled in this enormous mortal Gu formation. With Fang Yuan's continuous effort, there were already 2 beads of red date immortal essence produced at the bottom of the green grape immortal essence. Chu Du sent a letter again, it is still that Murong Gang, this is already the 6th letter. Fang Yuan's attention slightly diverted. Shortly afterwards, he threw this information path Mortal Gu aside, having no interest to even reply. What blood battle martial competition, I don't give AF *CK. Screw off. In any case, Fang Yuan's agreement with Chu's sect was extremely loose. Besides some fundamental interests and principles, even if he suddenly did not want to do a task, or his interest waned, or he betrayed the sect, or he voluntarily left Chu's sect, he would receive no backlash. What was the nature of this blood battle martial competition? Fang Yuan knew it was a political compromise. This was a stage which Heavenly Lord Baizu and Yao Huang, two rank 8s, had discussed and created. It was to restrict the scope of the conflict between one another. The basic purpose was to ensure both sides' interests did not suffer loss beyond their bottom line. Yao Huang knew clearly that since Baizu tribe was already established, it could not be destroyed. At least, he alone was not able to do it. Because on the opposing side was a rank 8 Gu immortal, Heavenly Lord Baizu. As long as he existed, Baizu tribe was as stable as a rock. Unless Longevity Heaven sent a powerful reinforcement, for example, a rank 8 Gu immortal. When he received the Longevity Edict, he was already reluctant. All he needed was to provide an explanation to deal with Longevity Heaven. Heavenly Lord Baizu did not want to provoke trouble, he had just created his tribe and wanted everything to move smoothly. However, the situation did not permit it. He could only swallow the bitter pill and face the Huang Jin tribe's allied offense. Just this competition would do. They would not truly fight to the death. Chu Du had seen through these two sides' thoughts, and because he was coincidentally squeezed in between, he took a huge step forward and established Chu's sect, using Heavenly Lord Baizu's might to test the response of Northern Plains' righteous path. If it was accepted, he could expand Chu's sect; if it was not accepted, he would disband Chu's sect. The losses wouldn't be huge and were of no concern. From Longevity Heaven's standpoint, they naturally did not like seeing other bloodlines mixing in among the righteous path. All along, Northern Plains had been the world of the Huang Jin tribes. They were even more unwilling to see Chu's sect's existence. The master-disciple relationship, compared to the bloodline system, were two different ideologies. Systems based on either one were always sensitive and on guard against the other. Longevity Heaven's Gu immortals were clear that once the master-disciple system was spread, it would greatly shake their tribal forces and benefits. Central Continent was a clear example and the best evidence of this. But Longevity Heaven is dreaming if they want to rely on just the Longevity Edict to destroy the alliance between Chu's sect and Baizu tribe. Unless they become more resolute and send out rank 8 experts to kill Heavenly Lord Baizu. This world is all about strength. He tribe did not have a rank 8 Gu immortal to suppress the situation and had also lost their immortal Gu house. With just some excuses, their fellow Huang Jin tribe members destroyed them. Baizu tribe is an outsider and not of Huang Jin bloodline, but there is Heavenly Lord Baizu, making it a completely different situation. Strength, strength. Fang Yuan's thoughts lingered over this word. Rank 7 cultivation level. This was an accomplishment, but to him, it was only another starting point. The blood battle martial competition does not match my interests. I have the sovereign immortal aperture and can annex other immortal apertures, skipping calamities and tribulations to raise my cultivation and strength. This is a shortcut for cultivation, filled with slaughter and blood. But I like it. I want chaos, the more chaos, the better. But the 5 regions' chaotic war is still over 400 years later. It is too far away, I can't wait that long. I need to think of a way to make them fight. The blood battle martial competition is too gentle, how many can be killed? If there are no deaths, there won't be blessed lands. There is also Xianxia sect and the 4 races alliance, if I let Northern Plains human Gu immortals know of them, what will their response be? Regretfully, I am bound by alliance agreements. Although there is do not care, it cannot resolve the underlying problem. Fang Yuan's only worry was that the world wouldn't be chaotic, sinister and dangerous thoughts started to rise up in his mind. He did not intend to go to Blood Plain. The sect's enthusiastic anticipation and the enemy's provocation, what value did they have? Fang Yuan had to spend all his effort to kill Yi Lui Kunxing. If his actions had slightly slowed, he would have lost the opportunity. Would those 3 immortal Gu houses just stay there like decorations? Especially that Murong gang, he was a tough foe, it would not be easy for Fang Yuan to defeat him, let alone kill him. Since the start of the battle, Chu Du's side had lost many times, while the righteous path had not even lost 1/3 of the time. There definitely would be some internal conflicts of the sect involved in this. This was a trick righteous path Gu immortals liked to play. Fang Yuan had first thought of going to southern border. Over these last days, he had adjusted his cultivation plan, using almost all his time and energy in refining Dream Path Mortal Gu. It was all preparation for that giant dream realm in southern border. But he thought, and felt the opportunity at this blood battle martial competition was truly too rare. Adding on that on southern border's end, it was occupied by the righteous path whom had arranged a super Gu formation to tightly defend the giant dream realm. Fang Yuan felt it would be very difficult for him to meddle in and did not have any opening currently. Thus, after Fang Yuan refined all the green grape immortal essence into red date immortal essence, he quietly left Langya blessed land and arrived at Lu tribe's territory. He was going to do something bad. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know in the report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1208, with the murder weapon in hand, killing intent surges. Chapter 1208, with the murder weapon in hand, killing intent surges. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Northern Plains, Bone Burial Field. This was a place filled with white bones, countless piles of skeletons were together. There were some huge skeletons resembling hills, and also small skeletons unassumingly situated by the side. Most skeletons were pale white in color, under the corrosion of nature in the sun and wind, their flesh had already decomposed, only these strong and tough bones of the desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts remained. But there were also some bones with special colors. Some were yellow and shining brightly, some were purple and alluring, emitting poisonous gas. Gu immortal Lu Yong was paying close attention. He had the Huang Jin bloodline, he was a rank 6 enslavement path Gu immortal of Lu tribe. Right now, he was manipulating 6 desolate beast bone armor hounds as he traveled in Bone Burial Field, searching for his target. The formation of Bone Burial Field had several possible rumored origins. Some said that during the olden antiquity era, 2 enslavement path great experts engaged in a life and death battle here, resulting in the deaths of many desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts. Some said that this was a graveyard of bone monsters. Countless bone monsters felt that their lifespans were ending, so they came here and buried themselves. Some even speculated that this was a Gu refinement ground created by a refinement path great grandmaster during ancient times. After countless years had passed, it reached this present state. But no matter what, Bone Burial Field contained large numbers of desolate beast and ancient desolate beast corpses. Lu tribe controlled this place and developed it wholeheartedly, trying to turn this into a production base for bone path Gu worms. And every year, Lu Yong would borrow the use of this place, to pick suitable bones for his bone armor hounds and replenish their bone armor. This white bone seems like a snake bone, it is soft and cannot be used. If it is eaten, the bone armor would be soft and have no defensive properties. This is a poison Gu, bone armor hounds do not have high resistance against poison, they will die if they eat this. This bone is not bad, it seems to be a desolate beast steel skin giant lizard's bone. Even though it is not the hardest, it is good enough, especially when it can endure heavy weight. Lu Yong inspected for a moment, discovering more and more loot. Eventually, he placed his beloved hounds, the 6 bone armor hounds, at 6 different locations. He himself was lying down on a huge skull, looking at the sky. Today has good weather, it is sunny with gentle breeze. He looked at the blue sky, there were no clouds anywhere, and the sunlight was not intense, wind blew on his face mildly, he felt very comfortable. Looking at the empty sky, Lu Yong felt really bored. The tribe has sent an information Gu here. Suddenly, his brows rose as his eyes shone with light, he sensed that something interesting was coming. His mind quickly entered his immortal aperture, as his consciousness entered the information path Gu worm. The contents of the Gu worm spoke about the advancements and developments that Lu tribe had made in the last few months. Next were some rumors, and the actions of experts recently. Finally, the most important point, it talked about the developments of the blood battle martial competition. Murom Gang defeated 8 people in a row, impressive. However, between every battle, he has to recover for 2 hours. He is unlike Yi Lui Kun Xing, he could fight consecutively. I heard that Murom Gang has strong defensive methods, but his immortal essence expenditure is huge as well. Sigh, speaking of Yi Lui Kun Xing, it was really a pity. He was actually killed by Chu Sek's second Supreme Elder in a sneak attack, that was really despicable. Lu tribe was a Huang Jin tribe, a righteous path force. When spreading the information, they naturally placed it from their own perspective for their political benefit. Even though the information was not wrong, the way it was written would give others a different feeling when reading it. For example, losing repeatedly and fighting on despite repeated setbacks, between the two phrases, they would provide different impressions. All in all, it talked about how strong Fang Yuan was, and the facts about his ancient sword dragon transformation. The information also emphasized on how shameless he was, and how devious and scheming he acted. The Lu Guanyi identity that Fang Yuan was using had definitely became famous after this battle. Nobody in Northern Plains Gu immortal world did not know of him. Even Prince Feng Xian and Heavenly Lord Bai Zhu learned of him. Even in the other regions, like Central Continent, they heard about Lu Guanyi. After expressing his anger and disdain towards Fang Yuan, Lu Yong thought about himself, sighing. I cultivate enslavement path, I am not suited to one-on-one fights. When can I gain such fame at the blood battle martial competition too? Maybe one day, I can defeat Lu Guanyi and challenge domination immortal Chu Du. Wouldn't that be really cool? Lu Yong was thinking about this when suddenly, there was a huge explosion. Rumble. The entire ground was shaking intensely. What is going on? The giant skull below Lu Yong had fallen off the neck of the skeleton due to the tremors. Lu Yong quickly got up as he floated in the air, staring widely in bewilderment. This defensive Gu formation is being attacked, someone is attacking here. This is the territory of my Lu tribe. Thinking of this, Lu Yong felt that it was unimaginable. My Lu tribe is a great righteous path force, a Huang Jin tribe, we are a domineering force in the whole of Northern Plains. Especially recently, their longtime enemy, He tribe, was gone, and Chu Du was also being targeted. The future looked promising and they were currently in high spirits. Someone was actually attacking Lu tribe's territory now. Who gave them the guts? Their dog guts were truly rivaling heaven. Lu Yong was furious, and also slightly glad. Thankfully, I came here to pick up bones and feed my bone armor hounds. The attacker is really unlucky to have encountered me. At the next moment, Lu Yong saw the invader. Or rather, a dragon. An ancient sword dragon. It had pale white eyes, a sharp horn that extended to the sky, its scales were shiny and thick, its claws were sharp and powerful, it had a muscular tail, and its teeth gave off a chilly feeling. Lu Yong shuddered upon seeing it. Oh. It seems that a member of Lu tribe is here, my luck is pretty good. The ancient sword dragon spoke human words, as its dragon eyes emitted strong killing intent. Lu Guanyi. Lu Yong was stunned. At this moment, he wanted to cry. His heart was pounding intensely, his body was uncontrollably shaking as Lu Yong screamed internally to himself, "Stay calm, quickly calm down, Lu Yong. You can do it." Another voice in his head was resounding, "Calm down my ass. He is Lu Guanyi, even Yi Lui Kun Xing died at his hands. He is scheming and shameless, unscrupulous and shrewd, I am just a tiny rank 6 Gu immortal." Calm down, calm down. Right, right. Lu Guanyi is the second supreme elder of Chu sect. Isn't Chu sect a righteous path force? Then Lu Guanyi is a righteous path Gu immortal. As a righteous path member, how can he attack us for no reason? Attacking us for wealth, that is a demonic path act. Lu Guanyi calmly analyzed. At the same time, another voice screamed in his head, then tell me, why is Lu Guanyi not participating in the blood battle martial competition, but here instead? He destroyed our Lu tribe's defensive Gu formation, his evil intentions are apparent. What else could he want? Even though Lu Yong's name had courage. 1. In it, at this moment, he was completely gutless. He stammered as his tongue was shivering, Lu, Lord Lu, why are you here at my Lu tribe? Of course it is too. Fong Yuan purposely dragged his words out. Is to what? Lu Yong asked. Fong Yuan's reply was not in words, it was his dragon breath. This was the ancient sword dragon's breath, having the rank 7 dragon breath immortal Gu in it, the speed was fast like a flash of white light. Lu Yong's upper body blew up. Fresh blood spewed out, scattering on the pale white bones, detailing the sadness and pathetic state of a weakling. The two halves of his body landed on the ground, his expression before death was still frozen on his face, his eyes were staring wide open. Useless fellow. But it is not strange, all of the Huangjin tribes have been in power for too long, there is unavoidably some rot on the inside. Just like the 10 great ancient sections. Fong Yuan analyzed internally. The bigger the tree, the more leaves it would have, and unavoidably, it would have some rotten wilting leaves as well. Woof woof woof. The 6 bone armor hounds barked at Fong Yuan angrily. Their owner was dead, but they still feel attached to him, they all ran over, guarding their master's corpse, defending it loyally, as if hoping that it would revive. Seeing this, Fong Yuan's evaluation of Lu Yong rose by a bit. It seems that he is passable in raising desolate beasts, unfortunately, they do not have the wisdom of Gu immortals, what can these 6 beasts do? Fong Yuan sneered as he flew down. This battle had no unexpected surprises. An hour later, 6 fainted bone armor hounds were lying in Fong Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture. These desolate beast hounds appeared at a good time. Fong Yuan was about to buy some desolate beast dogs and use their feces to feed dog shit luck immortal Gu. There were also a vast amount of desolate beast and ancient desolate beast corpses, they had extremely high value. Fong Yuan placed them in his sovereign immortal aperture, temporarily storing them somewhere. And finally, Lu Yong's corpse, his immortal aperture was still hidden in his stomach, Fong Yuan sealed it for now. This enslavement path immortal aperture was suited for Fong Yuan to annex. And also, Lu Yong's soul. After being hit by Fong Yuan's dragon breath, although extremely weak and at Fong Yuan's mercy, it was still alive. Fong Yuan quickly thought of the reason. This Lu Yong was an enslavement path Gu immortal, enslavement and soul path are related, to manipulate desolate beasts, one must have a sufficiently strong soul foundation. Fong Yuan quickly left the scene of the crime. He moved very quickly. Only a tattered defensive Gu formation was left, and the empty bone burial field, as well as the upper body of Lu Yong. The next location, Lu tribe's Jade Light Pit. Fong Yuan licked his lips, showing excitement in his eyes. He had just committed murder, but now he was not going to retreat, he was going to attempt another crime. As the saying goes, with the murder weapon in hand, killing intent surges. Fong Yuan was a rank 7 Gu immortal with ancient sword dragon transformation, his battle strength had risen immensely, he was starting to become somewhat unrestrained. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1209, Looting Another Place. Chapter 1209, Looting Another Place. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Whoosh. A figure flew in the sky, tearing across space as a shrill sound could be heard. It was Fang Yuan. Right now, he was still in the ancient sword dragon form. He was using sword escape immortal Gu and flying rapidly. This speed was terrifying. Back then when he killed Yi Lui Kun Xing, almost none of the Gu immortals managed to react. Of course, his burst of speed at that time was shocking. But now, Fang Yuan was traveling a long journey, his speed was lower now, compared to his peak burst of speed. Even so, he was very fast. My speed is top tier even in Northern Plains Gu immortal world. Of course, I cannot compare to Hui Feng Zi. Chu Du's body strength travel is far below me now. Hui Feng Zi was most skilled in speed, he was known as the fastest person in Northern Plains. Disregarding any hidden cultivators, Hui Feng Zi was truly worthy of this. Because there was once a rank 8 Gu immortal who chased him but failed to capture him. Fang Yuan was still far inferior compared to him. This was the case for both straight distance travel and nimbleness. But Chu Du's body strength travel had indeed been faster than Fang Yuan's sword escape immortal Gu in terms of straight distance travel. Now, Fang Yuan turned into the ancient sword dragon. His original flying speed with his Dao mark amplification caused Fang Yuan's speed to surpass Chu Du. Not to mention that Chu Du's immortal killer move, body strength travel, had a major flaw: it could only fly straight, it could not turn and had low nimbleness. If compared to rank 8 Gu immortals, how would I fare? Fang Yuan had a question in his mind. Immediately, he shook his head. Rank 8 Gu immortals were all unfathomable. If they wanted to pursue Fang Yuan, he would be in danger. His initial burst of speed might surpass them and pull some distance, but in a long-distance chase, he would definitely become slower. And pursuing methods were not just about speed. Rank 8 Gu immortals had a wide variety of methods. They could do other things like Gu formations, teleportation, long-range attacks and others. I have just destroyed Lu tribe's bone burial field, and even killed an enslavement path Gu immortal of Lu tribe, Lu Yong. When he was alive, he had already informed his tribe, as a super force, Lu tribe will definitely send Gu immortals to pursue me. However, Lu tribe's available fighters are all at the blood battle martial competition. The remaining Gu immortals are at the resource points, or have missions to attend to. It is not easy to send people out, especially people who are able to deal with the expert Lu Guanyi. Time is needed. After they get to bone burial field, they will still need some time to chase me. They would not think that instead of retreating, I actually went to the southeast direction and planned to rob the Jade Light Pit next. In this case, these Lu tribe pursuers might waste even more time. With all this wasted time, I can definitely devour the whole of Jade Light Pit. Fang Yuan had been collecting information about the outside world while he was cultivating. Lu tribe was big and eye-catching. A lot of their resource points in the outside world were known to all. Sometimes, in order to display their own strength and foundation, Lu tribe's Gu immortals would expose intel about these places themselves. For example, the bone burial field's production of mortal Gu, and how many profits they derived. Fang Yuan had been very interested in Lu tribe's Jade Light Pit. Because of Attitude Gu. To feed Attitude Gu, he needed a vast number of flowing light fruits. The higher the rank of the immortal Gu, the longer the interval of feeding, and the greater amount eaten each time. Fang Yuan had already bought a lot of flowing light fruits in Treasure Yellow Heaven earlier. He had planted them in sovereign blessed land, using fruits to bring about more fruits. Right now, he needed huge amounts of dazzling light Gu between his flowing light fruits to increase the amount of light. With intense light, brand new flowing light fruits would form. This method was not only efficient, it was simple and easy for Fang Yuan to control. And inside the Jade Light Pit, there were all sorts of light Gu. For example, Jade Light Gu, Reflect Light Gu, Borrow Light Gu, Return Light Gu, all sorts of colored light Gu, like Blue Light Gu, Red Light Gu, Black Light Gu, and others. Dazzling Light Gu was one of them. Fang Yuan raced against time. Right now, they were already alerted, his time was very precious. There is a cloud layer in front. Joy flashed across the ancient sword dragon's eyes. At this time, he was already near the jade light pit. A huge cloud layer was able to conceal Fang Yuan's traces. I am quite lucky to think there was a cloud layer here. If the Lu tribe Gu immortal defending the jade light pit is careless, I might even be able to sneak attack. Fang Yuan carried anticipation as he rushed into the cloud layer. The thickness of the cloud layer completely concealed the ancient sword dragon's body. But the truth was not as nice as Fang Yuan had hoped. In the jade light pit, Lu tribe Gu immortal Lu Luo felt something. She stared with wide-opened eyes, an enemy. This Lu Luo was nearly 200 years old, but she had the body of a young child. Her eyes were watery and bright, her petite body was so cute and delicate, people would want to protect her. She was the Lu tribe Gu immortal guarding the jade light pit. She was very alert now. All because of Lu Yong's report, all of Lu tribe's Gu immortals were notified. They were all on guard. The jade light pit's defensive Gu formation did not have any immortal Gu. Fang Yuan's transformation, the ancient sword dragon, easily tore the defense and got in. It is Lu Guanyi indeed. He did not escape. He is here to attack my jade light pit. Seeing the ruthless ancient sword dragon, Lu Luo was furious and shocked. I cannot escape. My speed is not as fast as the ancient sword dragon. Thankfully I planted many seeds here. I can only persevere and wait for reinforcements. Brother, save me quickly. Lu Luo quickly analyzed. At the same time, she muttered as the ground of the jade light pit tore open, dozens of vines resembling dragons or pythons drilled out. Next, countless trees expanded like jade umbrellas, becoming larger and larger until a huge forest was formed. Lu Luo hid herself in the forest and vanished. It seems that they are on guard. Fang Yuan took a glance and saw Lu Luo, before she vanished from his perception. Rank 6 wood path, but this forest was meticulously created. It is quite troublesome to deal with. Fang Yuan was strong, but this was a tough nut to crack. Because this forest was an immortal battlefield killer move. Lu Luo was a rank 6 Gu immortal, but she had an immortal battlefield killer move. This was atypical. But Fang Yuan felt no surprise. From Lu Yong's soul, he obtained a lot of information. Lu tribe had Lu Chang and Lu Luo, these two siblings. Because of their father's protection, both of them became Gu immortals. Lu Chang was a rank 7 Gu immortal. His battle strength was not lower than Yi Lui Kun Xing. But this time, to get rid of the mud monster group in Lu tribe's great mud pit, he could not spare any time outside. Lu Chang had great battle strength and status, especially when Lu tribe had no rank 8 Gu immortals. Lu Chang doted on his little sister Lu Luo since a young age. He even gave her lifespan Gu. This wood path battlefield killer move was obtained by Lu Chang for Lu Luo to have a strong trump card defending her. Fang Yuan thought about it. He did not deal with this forest. He charged straight for the Gu worms in the pit. Countless Gu worms were taken by him, kept into his immortal aperture. Lu Luo watched with much fear, gritting her teeth. This Lu Guanyi was robbing her in her face. This proud female immortal felt extremely humiliated and angry. This Lu Guanyi is truly too daring. He dared to kill my Lu tribe's Gu immortals and even steal our cultivation resources. It is a pity I do not have enough strength, otherwise, would make you pay the consequences. Lu Luo hid inside the battlefield killer move and did not dare to show herself. Even after Fang Yuan left, she did not reveal her traces. Not long after, there was white light in the sky. The light was painful to the eyes, it suppressed even the sun's radiance. As the white light charged down, it formed into a male Gu immortal. He had a skinny body and a sharp face. He had bean-like eyes, and showed anxiety and rage on his face. Brother! Lu Luo saw this person and immediately appeared between the trees, feeling elated. Sister, you are safe. I was so worried about you. The person who came was Lu Chang. He saw that Lu Luo was fine and calmed down. The anxiety on his face turned into joy. Lu Luo was also overjoyed, but she was still very cautious. Brother, let's match our secret code, before I let you in. There was no issue. Lu Chang entered the battlefield killer move and the siblings hugged each other tightly upon meeting. Sister, you must have been shocked, right? Don't worry, brother is here. Brother, that Lu Guanyi is so terrible, he took away all of the goo worms inside the jade light pit, not a single one is left. I failed to defend them, the tribe is definitely going to punish me. No need to worry, with me here, I will protect you. Don't be afraid, cheer up, I will back you up no matter what. Lu Chang doted on his sister, even though she was actually nearly 200 years old. He touched Lu Luo's head as he consoled, brother will go kill this bad person and avenge you, sister. In fact, he was sent by Lu tribe to capture Fang Yuan to begin with. Lu Chang's battle strength was not inferior to Yi Lui Kunxing's. He cultivated light path and was specialized in speed and movement, he could retreat or advance easily. Between Gu immortals, once one party had advantage in speed, they would gain initiative in the battle. Whether they fought or retreated, it would be up to them. While the siblings interacted, more Lu tribe Gu immortals arrived. Just now, Fang Yuan killed Lu Yong and took Lu tribe's resources, the entire tribe was furious. Not only did they send Lu Chang, they also sent 2 more Gu immortals to assist him and ensure that they succeeded. My goodness, our tribe's jade light pit was completely robbed by Lu Guanyi. Kill him, we have to kill him, otherwise, our Lu tribe's anger will not be appeased. The 2 new Gu immortals who arrived screamed. Stop screaming, you are so loud, what if you scare my sister? Lu Chang raised his head and yelled back. The 2 Lu tribe Gu immortals knew about Lu Chang and quickly lowered their volume. Among them, one used an investigative method and quickly found traces of Fang Yuan. He escaped there, let's chase him. You guys go first, I will escort my sister back. Lu Chang said. The other 2 Gu immortals were dazed, to and fro, how long would you take? If we do not start chasing now, we will not catch up to him. Then what if we leave and Lu Guanyi comes back and harms my sister? If anything happens to my sister, I will take it out on you both. Lu Chang shouted loudly. Brother is the best. Lu Luo was joyous. The 2 Lu tribe Gu immortals looked at each other, they could see the bitterness in each other's faces. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 12:10, Wanted by the Entire Righteous Path. Chapter 12:10, Wanted by the Entire Righteous Path. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. According to what Lu Yong said, if Lu tribe wants to capture me, they will send that Lu Chang. But he is a light path Gu immortal, even if I kill him, I cannot annex his immortal aperture for the moment. Why would I take a risk then? Fang Yuan was still in his ancient sword dragon transformation as he flew towards the west. As he flew, he searched Lu Yong's soul. Right now, Fang Yuan was going to retreat. If he continued, there would not be enough time. He did not need to fight with Lu tribe's Gu immortals. If he did that, the risks were great with minimal benefits. As he flew, Fang Yuan continued using sword escape immortal Gu. Undoubtedly, red date immortal essence was truly durable. If it were like before, would Fang Yuan with only green grape immortal essence dare to sustain such expenditure for so long? But it was out of Fang Yuan's expectations that while he retreated, he did not see a single trace of Lu tribe's Gu immortals. He did not know that Lu Chang had delayed a lot of time in escorting his sister back, he could no longer make it. As for the other 2 Lu tribe Gu immortals, they did pursue him, but they could not catch up. After Fang Yuan entered Taichio, these 2 Lu tribe Gu immortals could only watch without entering. Through the Gu formation, Fang Yuan returned to Langya blessed land. Fang Yuan is back. Sixth Hair immediately got news of it. He had a complex feeling. Because right now, he had already known that Fang Yuan had killed Yi Lui Kunxing. Most importantly, Fang Yuan had used ancient sword dragon transformation, he used his own strength, instead of relying on the upper extreme heavenly eagle. How did his battle strength surge so quickly? And recently, he has been very busy, going in and out of this place. What is he trying to do? Sixth Hair was very uneasy. Seeing Fang Yuan's busy schedule, he felt like he was looking at Fang Yuan's back, seeing him sprinting ahead rapidly. Sixth Hair really wanted to trip Fang Yuan and halt his progression, but there was nothing he could do. Whenever he thought of Fang Yuan's upper extreme heavenly eagle, he became dejected. Rank 8 Battle Strength. Sixth Hair did not know the truth. He could only hope that Fang Yuan had few heavenly crystals and could not feed the upper extreme heavenly eagle. I hope this upper extreme heavenly eagle dies of hunger. Sixth Hair could only hope for this. I have insufficient heavenly crystals indeed. Fang Yuan returned to his cloud city. After inspecting his immortal aperture, he sighed deeply. Sixth Hair's hopes were not groundless. Heavenly crystals were rank 8 immortal materials. They were rarely sold in Treasure Yellow Heaven. In this aspect, Fang Yuan did not have enough heavenly crystals to begin with. The majority were obtained by trading resources with Heavenly Lord Baizu. The upper extreme heavenly eagle had been growing all the while. His heavenly crystal storage was depleting. It doesn't matter, I will use my sect contribution points to exchange for a batch and use my immortal killer move on the upper extreme heavenly eagle to delay its growth. Hei Fan's true inheritance could accelerate the upper extreme heavenly eagle's aging and cause it to mature rapidly. He naturally had a method to do the opposite. However, Fang Yuan only spent some sect contribution points to exchange for heavenly crystals. He did not use any immortal killer move. Fang Yuan was still not familiar with this killer move. He needed to practice it many times or the activation would fail. Not only would Fang Yuan be injured, the upper extreme heavenly eagle would be hurt as well. Secondly, this immortal killer move needed 3 days to activate. Fang Yuan did not have enough time. Fang Yuan left after returning. Using the super teleportation Gu formation, he went to another corner of Northern Plains. Undoubtedly, Xianxia Land Spirit's Super Gu formation was simply too useful. Fang Yuan lost fixed immortal travel, but using this Super Gu formation, Fang Yuan could still enjoy the effects of fixed immortal travel. Choosing a location without anyone nearby, Fang Yuan tossed out Lu Yong's corpse. Placing his immortal aperture, Fang Yuan went inside. Lu Yong had a land spirit left behind. It was a black hound. The condition it had was, collect 20 desolate beast hounds for this blessed land. Fang Yuan easily completed it. A few days later, he successfully annexed this blessed land and the sovereign immortal aperture gained some new territory. Speaking of which, Fang Yuan had annexed many immortal apertures recently. The entire space in the sovereign immortal aperture had increased slightly. But because the sovereign immortal aperture was just too large, the increase in size was not significant. There was also another change, the land spirits. Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture already had more than 10 land spirits. There was a snake, star core, black hound, land spirits in all sorts of forms were scattered in different locations over the sovereign immortal aperture. They all controlled an area and Fang Yuan provided them immortal essence and Gu worms. A lot of the immortal essence was left behind by their main bodies before death. It was not Fang Yuan's own green grape immortal essence or red date immortal essence. Other people's immortal essence was also known as foreign immortal essence. They had limited use. The biggest use was to activate immortal Gu houses. In the past, Fang Yuan obtained a huge amount of Giant Sun's immortal essence. He used almost all of it to activate Graceful Chaotic Dual Stage, and used it extensively in Etian Mountain. Next, he used Change Soul and the remaining amount of Giant Sun's immortal essence went to Ing Wuxia. It was necessary to mention that Immortal Gu House had fixed abilities, but their strength depended on the immortal essence that was expended. They could either be stronger or weaker. After absorbing Lu Yong's enslavement path blessed land, Fang Yuan realized that his count of calamities and tribulations had only moved forward by 1. It seems that with rank 7 cultivation level, annexing a rank 6 blessed land has negligible effects. The truly effective ones are rank 7 immortal apertures. Fang Yuan realized this and his gaze turned pensive. It is slightly difficult. In the 5 regions Gu Immortal world, rank 6 Gu Immortals were the most commonly seen. Rank 7s were rarer, their quantity was far lower than rank 6s. And rank 7 blessed lands could only be annexed by those with Grandmaster attainment level in that path. Fang Yuan only had 5 Grandmaster attainment level paths, among which rank 7 Gu Immortals who cultivated Strength Path, Blood Path, and Wisdom Path were few. Star Path and Transformation Path were still available, but this way, Fang Yuan's options were far fewer. He could not annex rank 7 blessed lands as casually as rank 6 ones. But Fang Yuan had a solution for this problem. He directed his gaze far away, in the direction of southern border. How can I make my way in? Just familiar face alone, even though I can conceal myself, if I interact with them, I will be full of flaws. This is a headache. Fang Yuan had no idea on what to do. He did not leave Northern Plains urgently. He was waiting to see everyone's responses. Lu Guanyi had an infamous reputation now. He suddenly assaulted Lu tribe and killed Lu Yong. He looted Bone Burial Field and the Jade Light Pit. News quickly spread in the Northern Plains Gu Immortal world. The Righteous Path forces were furious. Gong Wanting also changed her attitude after hearing this. She questioned Chu Du and blamed the Domination Immortal. Over at Chu sect, they were also surprised and shocked. They held great anticipation towards Fang Yuan, but he ignored the blood battle martial competition and went to loot Lu tribe alone. So daring. So unrestricted in his actions. Lu tribe was Chu Du's enemy. Back then, it was because of Chu Du and Lu tribe's conflict that he gained great reputation and became known as the Domination Immortal. But now, even though Lu tribe suffered a loss, Chu Du was unhappy. This brother Lu is too uncontrollable. Chu Du's good feelings towards Fang Yuan vanished without a trace. He did not want any Gu Immortal under him to do this. Fang Yuan did this and broke all of the rules. He destroyed the tacit understanding between both sides. Chu Du was quite angry. Yao Huang and Heavenly Lord Baizu also felt the same. Even Yi Lui Kun Xing's death could not cause any sorrow or concern in these 2 rank 8 Gu Immortals. But after hearing news of Fang Yuan attacking Lu tribe, they frowned in unison. A piece of rat poop spoils an entire pot of soup. Lu Guanyi is not a member of the Righteous Path. The 2 rank 8 Gu Immortals gave their verdict on Fang Yuan immediately. Both sides had agreed to hold their bottom line during this conflict. It was like 2 kids fighting. They would agree beforehand that they could attack anywhere, except the face. Fang Yuan did this. He not only slapped their face, the vile consequences were something that the Righteous Path Gu Immortals did not want to see. Immediately, Chu Du declared, Lu Guanyi's actions were purely his own. He was not asked to conduct them. To express his innocence, as well as Chu sect's standpoint, Chu Du announced on the scene that Lu Guanyi would be expelled from the sect. He would no longer be Chu sect's second supreme elder. So resolute. Fang Yuan noted as he held Chu Du's letter Gu. In the letter, Chu Du was very polite. He expressed his helplessness. The situation was very urgent at that time. He had to expel Lu Guanyi immediately. He expressed that on the inside, he had wanted Fang Yuan to stay, and hoped that in the future, they could still cooperate. Be it Fang Yuan's immortal tribulation tempering aperture or the crazed demon agreement, Chu Du had reason to continue cooperating with Fang Yuan secretly. But publicly, the 2 were enemies. At the same time, Heavenly Lord Baizu and Yao Huang sent orders denouncing Fang Yuan's demonic acts. They were putting up an arrest warrant for Fang Yuan, so that he would receive judgment. This was how the Righteous Path worked. They did not want demons to wreak havoc. The 3 sides immediately kicked Fang Yuan out. Even though Fang Yuan's battle strength was something Chu Du needed. Fang Yuan's plan of disrupting Northern Plains failed. Not just that, Lu Guanyi was now wanted by everyone. Chu Du, Heavenly Lord Baizu, Yao Huang, they are truly not easy to scheme against. Fang Yuan smiled. He was unfazed. Not to mention Lu Guanyi was just a randomly created false identity for himself. Even if it was real, so what? His main connections in Northern Plains Gu immortal world were the variant humans. At the same time, he was planning to go to southern border now. Although Fang Yuan would still pay attention to the developments of Northern Plains, his focus was now shifting towards the giant dream realm. Southern border, oh southern border, I am coming back. As a rank 7 Gu immortal. Is this considered to be returning with glory? Fang Yuan had a complex smile on his face. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible.